Albanese today announced another tax break of sorts, a $1,000 instant tax deduction instead of individual tax expenses, which also won't come into effect until July next year. I mean, it's kind of like Oprah, isn't it now? $1,000 here for you, $1,000 for you.
You get a tax cut, you get a tax cut, you get a tax cut.
Exactly. Everyone's getting a tax cut. But how do you think this is going to, or will this have an impact because it's so confusing?
I think on an objective level, there are definitely economically and energy-wise, you're exactly right, Kelly. If they had have ran with that, I think that the coalition would have had it in the bag. In fact, if Dutton just kept his mouth shut, he probably would have had it in the bag. I'd really love to know who is advising Dutton at this point in time, because they need to be sacked. He or she, whoever it is, are doing an absolutely appalling job. But yeah, it is one of the most confusing elections. I think post the American election, I think a lot of us over here had a little bit of hope that there'd be some momentum swinging back to more conservative type politics. But Dutton's coming out and parroting the same policies that Albanese is. So you kind of feel as a voter that whichever way you vote, you're going to get basically the same thing. And that's why I think that the Freedom parties are really capitalising on this, and rightfully so. That's why you're seeing such a big trend pushing towards One Nation, towards Rennick and towards, all of these other sort of freedom parties that are coming up, because people want an alternative to what's currently in power now. And these tax cuts, these $1,000 here and there, Dutton's putting out $1,200 for individuals, like you said. That's grocery bills for a fortnight for some families
and then
here.
It's gone.
Yeah. And so, you look at that,
it's a bit more than $5 a week is not even a coffee in some parts.
Yeah, but again, it's recurring. It's the same with.
But it's a coffee a week. I mean, a coffee a week is not a worthwhile tax cut.
But it's a lower tax rate. I mean, if you really want to say no, we should go in and we should raise taxes. If that is new Liberal policy, then I don't know what the Liberal Party is for.
But it's not about taxes here or there, because it is just a tiny bit, really. It's not something that's going to be felt. What it comes down to is that, what the parties keep on saying, and you'll hear this again and again during this campaign, this idea of hand-to-hand combat in the seats. So we are getting into micro-targeted campaigns, not just on social media anymore, but through the policy offerings. And these are going right into what are people's concerns in these electorates, what's moving them. And it's being influenced a lot of the time by micro campaigns around single issues as well. And that is why you're seeing something which from a high level just looks like complete nonsense, but they know exactly what they're doing. Now, is this good for the country as a whole? Well, that's another question entirely. But that is where politics is at right now, and we've got to understand that to understand why they're putting out these policies that seem so strange to us.
Well, one of the issues that's affecting lots of voters in several key seats is housing. And Anthony Albanese's biggest pitch today was a new housing policy, which was aimed at helping Labor win over younger voters who are locked out of the market.
Today I announced that under a Labor government, you'll be able to buy your first home with just a 5% deposit. It will be available for homes valued all the way up to the average price in every city and region. And you won't have to pay a single dollar in mortgage insurance. Our government will cover it.
Now, it's said that this new policy will unlock 100,000 new homes, but only first home buyers will be eligible. They'll be able to put down a deposit on a home that's as low as 5%, as the Prime Minister pointed out, while the government will act as guarantor on up to 15% of a loan. Cost to the budget, that magic 10 billion number again. I'm not sure what it is about that. Apparently, maybe it's so round that they think we'll forget what the cost is ultimately. But before Labor had any real time to spruik this shiny new policy, in came the coalition with, well, their very own answer to the housing crisis.
A coalition government will allow you to deduct interest payments on the first $650,000 of a mortgage against your taxable income. We will allow these deductions for 5 years, provided you continue to live in that home for that period.
So the Dutton government is offering tax deductions for interest payments on mortgages of up to $650,000, representing savings of $11,000 a year for families. It's also means tested. It applies only to individuals earning up to $175,000 or couples on up to $250,000. Kel, looking at these side by side, which one, if either, is a vote winner here?
Well, in this one, there's a clear distinction. I don't think the Albanese one is a good idea. His big push is to get more new home buyers buying more homes. He wants to increase demand. When he says he's going to produce 10,000 homes, I don't think anyone believes him. This is the same man who promised us 1.2...
It's 100,000, yes.
Yeah, 100,000 homes. He promised us 1.2 million over 5 years. He's miles behind on that. We know that the tradesmen don't exist. We know that they're a supply chain. He can't deliver all the homes. All he can do is increase demand. OK, economics 101. The price is a product of supply and demand. When demand is higher than supply, the price goes up. If he really succeeds in pushing up demand, the price will go up. On the other hand, I think Dutton's is not a housing policy. It's actually a cost of living policy. It's for people who've got a mortgage and are in a home. So it's not another stress on the home market, but it allows them to have a better standard of living because their standard of living has been cut by 8% by the Albanese government over the last 3 years. So it's a reward for them and it's going to lift their standard of living. But I think all Albanese will do is create extra demand, which will not help